Hi, welcome. I'm Gary Hyman. Thank you for joining us. Welcome to another Ignite Your Biz session. It's been quite a while, but we're going to have a lot of fun today, and we've got an amazing schedule. It's really jam-packed with some good stuff. We have a totally awesome person that has joined us today, and I'm going to introduce you to her in a minute. But today's agenda is really focused in on Twitter. Twitter is a fantastic platform to work with in business. However, it's really, really noisy. And what we want to do during this session is really find out or dig into the details a little deeper and find out how to really use Twitter for from a business perspective. You can literally get, let me just back up a second here, you've got literally 500 million conversations happening on Twitter, not on a yearly basis, not on a monthly basis, not on a weekly basis, but on a daily basis. So think about that. You've got 500 million conversations that are happening, so it's really noisy. If you look at my Twitter screen, you've got, and depending on how many followers you have, your tweets disappear off the screen so quickly. So how do you really use Twitter? How do you find customers? How do you find business partners? How do you develop, how do you find information to really develop a new product? And really, this is, and it's very possible, it's totally possible. I'm testament to it, and our guest is testament to it as well, and many others are testament to using Twitter for business purposes and using it productively for their own business. So let me take a minute or so, introduce our guest. Her name is Chloe Forbes Kinlan, and she actually sent me a bio. I'm going to read out her bio to you, and I think there's a few things I want to fill in as well. So Chloe Forbes Kinlan is the director of C4 Compete social media management agency based in Scotland. She is all about helping business owners navigate through a crazy 24/7 world of overwhelm that social media can be by offering a full done-for-you service. When Chloe is not working, it's a sure bet that she's spending time with her family. Her passion for all things social can only be matched by her love for a good cup of coffee. And I'm with Chloe on that one because I also have my cup of coffee as well. So let me just fill in a couple blanks here. So she's the director of C4 Compete, a social media management agency in Scotland. And her agency manages digital marketing needs of her customer. Her focus is strategy, management, and content marketing. And I'm just filling in the blanks here. She has been in sales and marketing since she left school with a BA in business management and marketing. She's also, I believe, Hootsuite certified. So that shows you something with Twitter. Now, this is the interesting part here. She's also a WWE fan, and she's a Celtic Football Club supporter, and a true believer of turning dreams into reality. As mentioned, she's based in Perth, Scotland, which is really known as, to me, as the gateway to the Highlands. And I just kind of visualize castles and just an area steeped in history, and perhaps one day I'll make it there as well. Now, something really, really important. It's her special day today. And so join me in wishing her a happy birthday. You never ask a woman her age. I'm not going to ask her age. But happy birthday to Chloe. And I'm going to turn it over to her, and perhaps you can just fill in if I've missed out anything, and then we'll dive right into it. Hi, Chloe. Over to you.
Thank you, Gary. Thank you. Thank you for the happy birthday and the really sweet introduction as well. I think you covered pretty much it. Yeah, I'm from Perth, Scotland. It's a very small place in the social media world. There's not a lot of them. We're a little bit behind. So we take a lot of our guidance from the States and Canada, who are fantastic at it. Yeah, run a social media agency for small businesses. It's really good fun. I love it. I absolutely love all things social media. And I really want to help small businesses that don't really, they understand it's important, they understand they need to be on it, but they don't know how to fit all the dots together. And hopefully one of the things that we achieve here today is that we do fit those dots together and make a lot of sense out of it for business owners that maybe know Twitter is important, but just don't really understand how you turn complete strangers into followers and followers into customers. So
absolutely. And I know we go back quite a few years. We first connected on Facebook and then on Twitter, and there's a lot of passion in you with regards to Twitter. And even on our last conversation that we had, it's Twitter. You actually mentioned that Twitter is your favorite platform. Maybe you can elaborate on that, and why Twitter? Why is it so special to you?
Yeah, I mean, for me, when I first started on social media, it wasn't Facebook and Twitter and all that. There was YouTube. I used YouTube a lot, and I used a thing called Bebo, which was really popular in the UK. It's kind of changed and it's on a different kind of business model now. But for me, I see Facebook as a lot like what Bebo was like. It was very similar. Whereas Twitter, for me, it just opened up a whole new world. You were able to connect with anyone. On Facebook, you can't do that. You can talk to celebrities, you can talk to friends, people you don't know. From a business perspective, you can talk to the SEOs of giant companies that normally you would never see, because there would be so many levels you'd have to try and break through to get to them. For me, that's incredible, and the conversations are incredible. It just seems a lot more meaningful. You can get really deep with people. You can learn so much about them on a business level, but also on a personal level, and that's where you can kind of find out what drives them and what they're interested in, and you can use that. You can use that in your sales funnel, and your marketing, and your brand messaging, all of that stuff. So for me, I don't think there's a more social platform or a platform that just achieves so much for your business in one place. I think that really kind of sums it up.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Totally awesome. So do you think every business should be using Twitter, or is there a set formula, or how do you decide whether to use Twitter or not?
Yeah, so I think that my view is that every business that has customers, which is every business, because if you're not making money, it's a hobby, not a business, should be on Twitter. I think that for everyone, your target market's there. And sometimes it's not obvious that your target market's there. I think some people think, oh, well, my target market's, 60-year-old grandmas who live in nursing homes, or what. Take a care home, for example. A lot of people would say a care home, okay, my target market's not on Twitter. But the truth is, the people that you're really wanting to target is the kids of those elderly residents who are on Twitter. It's one of the fastest growing demographics. So you're able to communicate with them, and ultimately they have a big decision in whether their parents go into homes and things. So it might not be obvious all the time, but I always think, and even just, it doesn't even have to be directly with your customer. Again, it comes down to what your intention is and what your goals are for that platform in particular. But it could be to find peers or influencers or decision makers that can become the gateway to your target audience. So it's sometimes not so obvious, but I do believe that every business can benefit from Twitter, being on Twitter.
Okay, that's interesting. So in essence, it sounds like you're a believer that for the most part, all businesses can really benefit from Twitter because there is an audience out there, or there's a connection to an audience through someone, whether it's an influencer or an intermediary type of market, so to speak. I guess that's kind of what you're saying.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a big believer in that. I always think if there's one network that you want to master, it's Twitter, regardless of your industry or
Yeah.
business or size.
Yeah, and let me just add to that as well. Just in case some of our audience is not familiar, Twitter is a totally open platform. It's one of those social platforms that you can literally jump into any conversation. You can listen to any conversation out there, take away information, say what you want, leave, bring people back. So it's open. It's an open platform. It's kind of like a party gone insane, and you can just jump into any type of conversation. Okay, you mentioned a couple of interesting things, and you mentioned targeted customers, targeted following. And I know you've got a great blog post out there, how to build a targeted following on Twitter in 6 steps, an amazing post as well. So perhaps you can elaborate on this, because you use Twitter, and we spoke about it before, to harness customers and paying customers as well. And so let's first talk about a targeted audience. Why a targeted audience, and things that relate to that?
Yeah, so for me, one of the things that I find is that when you go on Twitter, it's very easy to get sucked in as a user. And then it becomes really confusing because you're engaging with random people, you're doing all this stuff, and you're not getting results and wondering why. But it's important that you take a step back as a business and say, okay, well, what am I trying to achieve here? And depending on what your goal is for a specific platform, because it's not always the same for every platform, you're able to create a process or a plan of action on how you're going to find the right people to meet that objective. Now, a lot of the time it is sales. A lot of the time businesses want sales. So they need to figure out, okay, well, how do I find the people that meet my target audience? How do I engage them, and how do I convert them? Because people do business with, as a bit of a cliche, but as everyone says, people do business with other people that they know, like, and trust. For me, that's 3 separate things. First, they have to know you, then they have to like you, and then they trust you. And so it's taking a random person that you maybe most likely don't even know, and taking them through that process to the point where they're ready to make a sale. So there's loads of different actions in there that businesses can take, from social listening and from lead nurturing, and then taking them to a place where they're ready to convert. Now, that might be different for different businesses. For some people, they're just looking for leads.
Oh, you still there, Chloe? Did we have the link freeze on us? Interesting. Okay, and Chloe has, we'll just give her some time perhaps to come back on, and I'll take this wherever it leads us, hopefully being on a live call right now. So Chloe, if you can hear us, we can't hear you and your video is frozen. So maybe rejoin the whole session if you can, and I will just carry this on the best I can. And Chloe did mention listen, nurture, and then actually convert. And when you're talking about listening, and this is where we want to really go with the entire session, is listening, and how to really listen on Twitter. There's some really key things that you need to do, and I would love Chloe's feedback because she does such a great job at listening, and as we can see, she is frozen, and this is a very interesting thing. Listening, you can do so many really different ways on Twitter, and one of the ways is to really use what's built in Twitter. And Twitter has some advanced search capabilities, And the advanced search capabilities allow you to essentially go out and find an audience. So it's essential to have a plan before you go in. You understand your target audience, as Chloe was indicating. Make sure you know exactly where they do hang out. And once you understand that, or how you can connect to them, then what you end up doing is really searching specific areas on Twitter for that audience. And that audience could reside out and be having certain conversations, and then you have to actually connect with them. Now, Chloe's is back on again, and we're just talking about listening. So Chloe, we're talking about the actual 3 essential points you mentioned: listening, nurturing, and then converting. And you were talking about your blog post that you put together, alluding to it. And I want to dig down into actual listening and how to really listen on Twitter and find that audience. So maybe you can take it from there.
Yeah, so sorry for the little interruption there. Yeah, so when it comes to social listening, the first step, as I mentioned, I hope you heard it, is that you really need to understand who your audience is. And that's from 3 different. You need to know where they are, so their location, the geography. You need to know the demographics, which are the basic male, female, age. Everyone's heard of those things. But more importantly, you have to understand the psychographic element, which is much deeper. This is the hard part. You need to understand what they like, what they don't like, what kind of lifestyle they lead, how they use social media, and that just comes from research. And again, it comes from listening as well. So if you have you currently have a customer base, you can encourage them to share their Twitter accounts, and you can search them, because you'll find that each audience has certain elements that are linked. There's certain things they have in common. They have the same values, they want the same things, and ultimately they want a similar lifestyle, and they want your product to achieve that lifestyle. So you have to really understand that, and there's not really any way around doing the research. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of understanding. But the thing is, they're not completely different people online from offline. They're the same people. They're driven by the same things. So if you already have a business and aren't necessarily on Twitter, you can ask your customers and find out about them in store or however you do business with them. But what's really important is you understand what drives them, because that's the people that you need to find on Twitter who maybe aren't there to do business right now, but they fit your market.
Okay, great. So now let's dig down further. And how do you actually listen? What are you doing to listen? Is there a tool available, or what is it that you're doing?
So there are a lot of tools. There's things like Social Mention, and a lot of dashboards like Sendable and Hootsuite, and all these tools. They have ways of listening. For me, I keep it really simple. I use Twitter Advanced Search, which integrates into Hootsuite Search, so it's kind of the same thing. I just use that because it's got, you can search by location, which is one of the key elements, the geography, the demographic. You can search for, keywords. So if you understand the things that your audience are talking about and are interested in, you're able to search for these keywords. And now, one of the mistakes that some businesses make is they search for keywords that they would use. So, for example, I might hashtag social media, but the reality is that people that need social media help probably wouldn't know to do that. So they're not going to be searching that hashtag, but they might be searching at Twitter support help. So it's those kind of things, and understanding exactly, and that's again comes from the research. Now, one way that you can also do it is to go through your competitors who are doing much better than you. Look for competitors that are have active profiles, have people engaged with them, and go through the conversations that they're having, because if they have the same audience as you can essentially get in there and kind of encourage those followers to come to you. And it's not, there's nothing wrong with doing that. It's what most people do. But if you're starting out from scratch and you're sitting here going, okay, I don't know what I'm doing, I don't know how to find my audience, I don't know how to listen or do those things, you can listen to your competitors and what's going on there, and listen to specifically their followers, especially if you click on their bios and they meet your criteria, your customer profile and things like that. You can use that, and they're obviously someone that would also be interested. If they're interested in your competitor, they're going to be interested in what you have to offer too.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. That's so important. You've touched on a couple very interesting things. Hashtag searching for interest, what people are interested in, what they are searching from their perspective, not necessarily from your perspective as a vendor, but really getting into their head, their mind, understanding them, what they need help, using the actual tools, whether it's Hootsuite, and keeping it simple and using the advanced search within Twitter. And you've got a number of different fields. If you do bring up the advanced search, twitter.com/ and I think it's search-advanced. It's not an easy tool to get to, but that's how you get to it. And is that right? Is it search-advanced?
Yeah, I think so. I'm just going to quickly check.
Okay, awesome. And the other method is competitors, and going into your competitors, looking at their streams. So it's important to have this plan before you go in. Make sure that you know who your competitors are, you know their audience, and then you go into their stream. Twitter allows you to go into their stream and look at the conversations, look at what's happening. Now, let me give you a live example of what has happened, which happened to me yesterday. I'm having a lot of technical issues with my service provider. I'm not going to mention names of the actual service provider. Actually, if you go into my Twitter stream, you'll probably find out who the name of the service provider really is. But I'm having issues with my service provider, which I canceled, and I'm moving to another one mid-October. And after investigating their Twitter stream, I had to actually log a Twitter a tweet with them to say, help me, I'm having issues. And I looked at their Twitter stream, and I was totally blown away by the amount of customer issues that they have. They don't return their customer calls. 5 days later, you're still waiting for a phone call, which is absolutely insane. And this was a pattern in their stream. So I decided to go to all the other competitors, their competitors, and have a look at their streams and see what was going on. And in each of those streams, there's the regular technical issues you run into. Oh, I don't have an internet connection, or my voice over IP phone doesn't work. And so those are all regular things that appeared in every one of the streams. The only thing that didn't appear that wasn't a consistent pattern in any of the other provider streams really was these customer care issues, returning calls and all that. So if I am a service provider and I look at my competitor stream and I find out that there are issues that the customers are experiencing, what I would do as a business person is take that information, put a campaign behind it, and perhaps offer the customers, invite them to perhaps 30 days, no charge, use our services, and then obviously there's a recurring billing for them if they want to stay on. But these are a type of things you can do. So it comes down to listening and making sure you understand what your audience is saying. You can go into your competitor stream, and listening is so, so important. And I know Chloe is with me on this one about listening, and I see her nodding her head there. And just make sure you don't forget to listen. There's a lot of conversations going on. And if you can pull out that one gold nugget out of a conversation, you can have a new product. You can have a new customer. You can have a new joint venture. There are so many things you can do by just listening. So, Chloe, what I want to just touch on very briefly, I know we've gone a whole bunch of time. We lost a short amount of time for when you dropped offline and came back on. Thank you for coming back on. You saved my life. And, let's talk a little bit about the second step is nurturing. So if nurturing is really important, what are you doing to nurture your audience? So now you've found them, you speak to them. What are you doing to actually nurture on Twitter?
Yeah, so this kind of follows really nicely off from the listening side. So what I do is, and again, this comes down to having a kind of a lead nurturing process, a sales funnel in place. But the first step is listening, as you said. When I do find my target audience, what I do, and sometimes it's different, sometimes it's segmented, so it could be that you want key influencers you want to build relationships with, you have partners, potential employees, and then customers that you want to listen to. Regardless, what I do is I add them to a list, a Twitter list. Now that they're in the Twitter list, I can go in there every day for a set amount of time, and I can see what they're talking about. Because again, one of the important things with the listening is a lot of people are talking and expecting customers to just say, "Oh, yeah, I want this service. But that doesn't work like that. They don't know you and they don't trust you yet. You can be just a stranger to them. So you have to nurture them. And the best way to do that isn't to put out content and expect them to suddenly engage with you, but to rather them to put out content, bring it to you, and you engage with them on conversations that they care about and are interested in, because you're far more likely to get engagement back because it's something that you know that you're passionate about. Again, it ties so well with listening. It's great for market research. It's great for understanding how to put messages out there that are going to resonate with them. So to nurture them, I put them in a list. I engage in conversations that they care about. I do not talk business. I rarely talk business unless they're talking about it. I try and build relationships with them, and I play the long game in that I really don't care how long it takes. I'm not in a rush to convert a sale. I know that the longer I go, the higher a conversion I'll get, the higher a return I'll get, so I'm prepared to wait. And I think that's a really important point to make as well, that when you're doing that kind of process, you do have to be a bit patient.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally agree with you, and really important. So, in essence, with nurturing, putting them into a list, you're listening to them and you're really going out to them and joining in on their conversations. You're perhaps watching what they are saying and responding to them and engaging with them on their terms and things that interest them, not necessarily that interest yourself. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, the great thing is if you can find a connection point, if you can find something that you're both interested in, say you both like the same football club, or you're both interested in a particular author, or you just have a connection point, you can use that and use that to try and have more conversations, because if you're passionate about it and they're passionate about it, something really magical happens and you just click. You get that fit and you find out a lot more. So if you can have a connection point, I would encourage people to use that if they can.
Yeah, and connection points are very important, and I just want to, I'm going to use the word testament again. I'm testament to that. I connect with a lot of people on the basis of video and photography because these are things I really enjoy. The other thing I connect with people about are places that they've traveled, because I've traveled globally, lived in Asia for about 10 years, traveled that whole area. So I can connect with people. If I see, okay, they're from Indonesia, I can connect with them there, or the Philippines, or Australia, and perhaps one day it will be Perth, the gateway to the Highlands.
Yeah.
But regardless, Chloe and I have connected, and we connected. If you think about this, we first met on Facebook, and then later it was on Twitter. But we connected. Our conversation actually started happening based on another Kindlen out there, and perhaps Simon is watching this this discussion today, and that was the connection between Chloe and myself, is another Kindlen. And I said, I know another Kindlen out there, and I'm so happy that now I've met another Kindlen, and that was our connection, and really that's what took our relationship forward, and we've been having discussions on Twitter and Facebook and other channels ever since. So before I just, I know we've gone the 30 minutes that I initially intended to. We're going to just spend a few more minutes. I want to go over the convert section as well. But before we go over the convert section, I'm just going to take like a little mini break. I'm throwing up a another lower third banner here with a URL on there, and there's a significance behind this URL, which hopefully you will all go to. It's the smarturl.it SMV2014-2014 YT for YouTube. This is an event. So before November, if you're watching this before November 1st, you still have an opportunity to attend this event. This event is 6 of us are putting on an event in Tampa, Florida, and it all has to do with using social media from a practical and a real to get you real results. And we are putting on a 2-day event there. And I am responsible for delivering the Twitter part. Day 1 will be a keynote. Everyone will be speaking. I'll be talking about actually listening on Twitter as well and diving into a little bit of detail. And then there'll be some workshops involved on the 2nd day, which go into, and I'm not going to release that right now, so you have to go to that page to find out. So go to smarturl.it/SMV2014 YT, and you can find out more about that. And I really, really hope to see you there and meet you in person as well. So let's just move into the convert section. So now you've listened, you've found, you're nurturing your audience out there. You're not in any rush, as Chloe was mentioning. And now, so what's the indicator, Chloe? What's the indicator that you're going to convert to a sale here? Like, where do you take this whole conversation?
Normally what will happen, certainly in the instance of my case and my client's case, is when they like you, they will start engaging with you a lot more. You'll suddenly be having daily conversations instead of weekly or monthly conversations. It might go to a DM conversation, so direct messages, it often goes there. And you'll usually get a few hints of they'll ask you a couple questions that maybe aren't directly asking about your products and services but are around that area. You definitely get a feeling that this might be ready to take it to the next level. So that's the kind of indicators that you get. Look for increased frequency, more retweets or favorites, some maybe direct message conversation, or they're asking, they usually ask around the sale rather than directly for the sale. If they ask for the sale, even better, because your work's done. But that's generally where it goes. And then it's up to you to take the lead and turn that into a conversion.
Yeah, that's really good. So what you're saying here is you're looking for indicators. You're actually trying to see if there is an increased frequency, if there's more favorites going on, or if there's some DMs coming to you, and perhaps asking more about your products. So there's indicators. So are we getting at that you better predefine what those indicators really are before you even hit Twitter that relate to your business?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that everyone should have a process that they're following. So not only for that, but for productivity, so that you're not getting caught up and you're not getting. A lot of people say that they are spending so much time on Twitter but getting no results. So it's not just about getting the results, but being productive in your time so that you're not wasting time. So you could say, okay, well, today I have to log on. Today I have to search and find 20 people that fit the description. They're not qualified leads, but they fit the description of my customer profiles. Now I'm going to find them using this competitor, and this hashtag. Okay, I go do that. That'll be like X amount of time, 10, 15 minutes. I'm going to add them to a list. Now I'm going to take this list and I'm going to engage with these people for 10 minutes every day. Okay, now they're in a list. Now I've engaged with them. Look for people that are more frequent. If they're tweeting more, if they're engaging more, I'm going to engage more with them. And sometimes you have to take the lead with turning the conversation into more of a business conversation. And then you can say, okay, these are the indicators. Now what do I do? What am I supposed to do? Just wait for them to say to me? Because a lot of the time they maybe want a sale. They want you to ask, but if you don't take the lead, they'll just go, oh, okay, and wander off again. So it's up to you to say at this point, okay, what do I do now? And that can be, I'm going to take a conversation into direct messages. I'm going to ask questions about whether they're interested in my services. I may say, do you want to have coffee if they're local? I might take it offline, or have a phone call, or have a chat on Skype like what we did, or LinkedIn messages. You can always take it somewhere. And I would say definitely for B2B, it usually the conversion, certainly for myself, has never happened. Well, it has. To say that, this week I've had about 3, so take that out. But normally people want to go to email or to phone or Skype or somewhere else, somewhere offline to actually make that happen. And it doesn't have to be, a really direct, do you want to buy my services? It could be, I've really enjoyed this conversation here. Do you want to have a chat and get to know each other a little better?
Yeah. You hit on so many good points there. You actually answered my next question, that you're actually doing this yourself, and what you're doing what you're preaching out there, you're actually practicing yourself. You're doing, and I see you nodding your head, and it does work for you. It's actually working, and you've got converted clients based on this entire process that you are telling our audience, informing them, and actually going through yourself. This has been totally awesome. You are an absolute wealth of information behind Twitter. You have fantastic. You've got all these gold nuggets, and I know I can just keep talking forever with you on this subject and trying to give our audience some more information to actually work with. But we have reached out a lot of time. Would you actually come back? Would you come back and join us for another conversation?
Of course. I'm always up for chatting on all things social. One of the things I would like to say is I wouldn't be saying this if I hadn't done it myself. Everyone, apart from one client, I've got every other client through social media, so it does work. I'm so excited. Thank you for inviting me to talk, because I love chatting with you, Gary. You're always full of information too, and bring great conversation. But yeah, I'm always happy to come back and chat.
Awesome. Now, people are probably interested to find out how to contact you. How do they contact you? Is there a web address or something?
Yeah, I'm pretty available across books. Let me just put this up. You can find me on Twitter. Obviously, I'm at C4Compete. I hope that's coming up right now.
Yes, it is. At the bottom of the screen, on Chloe's lower third. Just point to it with your finger down so people can see Chloe. Move your finger right there. Yeah, exactly. That's it. Yeah. At C4Compete. Uh-huh.
Yep, so I'm always available to tweet and chat there, or you can email me as well. I put that there, Chloe@c4compete.com. I will always answer any emails I get. I will always answer, even if there's a little bit of a delay.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So that brings us to a conclusion of another Ignite Your Biz. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Chloe, for joining us. We will have Chloe back at some point in the future. And wherever you are in the world listening to this, I know there's all different time zones, so this is great. I love social media. It works really well. That you can get your message out there and connect with people, and especially on the Twitter platform, which is a platform that is really close to my heart. So please press the subscribe button wherever it is on the screen so you can get automatic notification of when there is a new video. Also, don't forget to go to the URL that's pointed out in the lower third here, http://smut.it/smv for the event in second. Thank you so much again, and we will see you next time. Goodbye.